Hello, and welcome to Presence Practice with Poonam and Parker. Hello, Poonam.
Hi, Parker.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So, topic today is accept and then act. So Eckhart says, I don't remember if it was The Power of Now or New Earth, but he says that in any situations we have these three choices, and everybody's familiar with that quote: accept the situation, change the situation, or leave the situation. Overall, accepting the situation needs to happen before you can leave the situation or change the situation. There seems to be an understanding that if we're that if we don't do something, then what are we just going to let bad things happen or these tragedies occur, and because we're just going to allow it so deeply? It means that we aren't coming from a place of fighting and fear. So if we're not in a state of acceptance, then we are in a state of resistance. And if we're in a state of resistance, then there's reactivity in our body. And if we begin to act with that reactivity in our body, then the impulse will show itself. And we can see it with our own stories over and over and over again. So whatever the situation is, we accept it. We accept the facts of the situation, not the story, not our projections of what could or might happen. We sit in that stillness. And then right action, when it's time to come, you'll feel it. That inspiration will come through you and me. And we just take that next action. And it comes from intuition, from clarity. I think someone said that Eckhart one time, well, what if it's an emergency or in a rollover car accident? I'm just going to sit here and accept the accident before I get out of the car. Well, we're not thinking when it's a severe emergency like that. Our mind is suspended. That's why we hear so many people telling stories about how incredibly peaceful and calm they were after such a significant event. From the outside seems rather violent and challenging, but in that situation, you just do things. That's people coming, they walk outside and see their parent pinned underneath an automobile and go over and pick the whole car up. They didn't stop and go, I can't pick the car up, so I should probably call them. They just walked over and picked the car up. There's also, on a side note, they've shown like how very taxing that is, like how damaging that is for a whole body to go and do something like that, because it's adrenaline that just rushed into every single part of the body that makes something like that happen. But what I'm saying is that if it's especially if it's like some emotional drama or upset or something that's going on, then we accept, not because the situation we're saying is fine, is beautiful and fun and joyful, but we can be at peace with it. We could be at peace. Kumar's having a dream right now. Let's look at Kumar, see if he wants to know about some peacefulness. So accept and then act. We allow what is to be And if no action comes for you, then do nothing. You know, Eckhart talks a lot about how when he was sitting on the park bench, he wasn't homeless. I hear people say that he's homeless. He wasn't homeless. He had a home. It was a bed sit. He had a home, and he didn't often know where his next meal was going to come from. And he was only having one meal a day, and he would ride his bike to the park and sit and watch little water, little ducks, trees, and what a opportunity for him to accept fully. It took years for him to get to a place. I mean, he even went and remember that interview where he talked about he went to try to get a job at a bank, and they said, and then he went to university, and they said, what is it that you really want to do? And I've never heard him really talk about, well, not in any kind of sequence, what happened between them and how he ended up in Glastonbury. Is it Berg or Berry?
Glastonbury.
Glastonbury. Yes, Glastonbury, in a little cottage with all the roommates and doing spiritual teaching and showing up at workshops where no one was showing up for them. And, you know, so all along, accepting and then acting. I'd like to hear you talk about how this also works with conscious manifestation. So if we accept and then we act, can we also be holding in the other hand some kind of goal that without getting out of our skin and going into the future?
I think when he says accept as though you have chosen it, what Eckhart means is at a vibrational level, we move into surrender. We don't resist the obstacle or the challenge that is arising. So even as we are consciously manifesting something, it may be that we come across obstacles, challenges. But if we don't accept and we resist the challenge, then the challenge is just going to magnify. So a lot of people, even in the conscious manifestation course, he says that a lot of people may sit back and say, oh, now this obstacle arose. Now I'm not going to get what I'm trying to manifest, not realizing that the reason why they are not able to manifest is all their resistance, that they didn't move into a state of acceptance. And the moment that energy of acceptance, and acceptance does not arise from the mind. We cannot say a sentence that says, I am going to accept, and that is acceptance. Acceptance is sitting back in our presence. It's bringing that energy of, I'm going to sit back and experience completely my consciousness. I'm going to sit in this present moment and allow this moment to be as it is. So I'm offering that consciousness. What I'm allowing is the consciousness to flow through and allowing this situation to be, this challenge to be just as it is. I remember him saying that there's one time a organizer forgot to publish his workshop or publicize it very well. So there was only one person that showed up, and he sat and held the workshop for that one person. Look at that acceptance, right? That is what is. What if he would have said, no, I'm not going to, I expected 100 people, or I expected 50 people, and he wouldn't have preached to that one person, then just see how much more resistance, then all the more events would have come through where there would have been 5 people, there would have been 10 people, there wouldn't have been all these thousands that come to his events, right? So
Yeah.
knowing of that, how our energy, it is, we attract and manifest according to our inner state. So know of our resistance patterns, that saying no to the present moment or resisting is a vibrational energy, that we are saying, no, this challenge should not be happening. And then it also goes into the story making, the victim identity. This obstacle arose. Why do bad things happen to me? And why should I be the one that only one person shows up at my event, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we are held in the story instead of honoring that one person and acting as though that one person was 10,000 people and just giving the talk as though we're giving a talk to 10,000 people. That's what I think he's teaching in accept as though you have chosen it. If your house burned down, accept as though you chose your house to burn down. Why? You get a chance to buy new things. And if it's not buying new things, it's like, okay, I'm going to go stay in a new place. The excitement, if you move as a field of consciousness, what is the next thing I get to do because of this loss that has been presented to me? Like, I was presented with the loss of a job last year in June. Within 3 or 4 weeks, I found another job. Now the joy is, okay, let me find another new people, a new set of people, and who am I going to interact with? Instead of going, oh, why did, and we have had out of that September batch of people that were downsized, we did have a person that committed suicide, right? So that is an identified mind that says, this should not be happening to me. And why did this job, I'm so useless. The story, I'm such a loser. Now I'm going to sit and drink, right? I'm going to drink bottle and bottle of whatever Scotch whiskey and then poison myself. Instead of that, if that person would have said, I accept it, the universe is moving me into a new direction. It wants me to go serve somewhere else and use it as a moment of grace, right? So that's why always accept as though you had chosen it. And the resistance completely goes away, and life, grace, effortless grace, miracles arise.
Thank you, Poonam.
Thank you,
That's
Parker.
beautiful, beautiful.